always had like an affinity for history. I wanted to always know more about like myself, where I came from. We only really learned about Black history during like February, because it was doing like Black History Month stuff. But it was just the same people every year, but like not even like the real story.
Elijah Edwards is a high school sophomore. Next year, he's supposed to be taking an advanced placement class in African American Studies. But in January, Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis blocked the proposed course from being offered across the state, saying the curriculum lacked educational value. Shortly after, Elijah and 2 other students announced plans to sue DeSantis with the help of civil rights leaders. As a young Black kid in Florida, how does it feel when you hear the governor say that this material is inaccurate or not important enough to teach?
I just feel like it's an ignorant and unnecessary comment, and it's just not true. Black history is American history. Black history is world history. You know what I mean? We've been everywhere.
You know, growing up, raising Black mom, raising Black children, and we definitely in our house and in our family have tried to really express the importance of knowing your own self and who you are and where you come from.
The AP Black History course was first offered as a pilot in 2022 and was taught in 60 schools across the country. It explored much of African American history, including slavery, Reconstruction, and the Civil Rights Movement. The aim was to expand Black history to include more contemporary topics like queer studies, the Black Lives Matter movement, and reparations. But the DeSantis administration rejected these new themes as part of his Stop Woke initiative.
Who would say that an important part of Black history is queer theory? That is somebody pushing an agenda on our kids.
Oh, this is good. W.B. Du Bois wrote The Suppression of the African Slave Trade of the United States of America from 1638 to 1870, but the title within itself is problematic, right? The suppression of the African slave trade of the United States of America.
All those trigger words, yeah.
Come on now.
Raynell Augustin has been teaching African American history to Florida high schoolers for 7 years. He says pressures of the culture war are impacting his job.
So if you're to get rid of something like this, who's to say that we're not going to get rid of something, you know, that's more contemporary? So a book like this is a book that I do teach.
Are you worried a book like this could be under threat?
Depending on which parts you read, yeah. Yeah, it could be under threat.
What are some of the consequences of rewriting history?
I think one of the things that gets taken away is that sense of pride, understanding where people before you came from. So what happens next? Is the whole class going to be taken away? Or is this something that's going to be reversed? Is this going to be just a Florida thing? Or is this going to be something that expands throughout the United States? What's going to happen?
Does that keep you up at night? Are you worried about that?
Yeah. It's definitely something I think about, primarily because I don't think anybody's history should be tainted.
The trend of conservative politicians restricting what is taught in classrooms is spreading. According to political scientist Matthew Nelson, who researches young people and their roles in democracy, it's part of a national right-wing strategy to rally voters and suppress Black and brown voices.
Highlighting these buzzwords about content, critical race theory, Black studies, is something that conservative politicians have definitely realized is mobilizing for their base.
Why does that resonate with this base?
How we teach about American history, American society, American government is something that is deeply emotional to people. So for individuals who are watching the demographics of this country change, and they say, now you're rewriting our history and you're changing what our national identity means to us. And it's perceived to them as a threat.
A threat to whiteness, to white supremacy.
American identity, whiteness, white supremacy, and obviously those concepts overlap in distinct ways.
The AP course was created by the College Board. which is a nonprofit that makes money by developing classes, materials, and tests. AP courses aren't mandatory. It's up to state education departments to buy in. But some say it shouldn't be taught at all.
The truth of the matter is that the College Board's recommendation curriculum was not prime time ready.
Democratic County Commissioner Bill Proctor represents Elijah's district. Although he teaches college-level African American history, he's been a vocal supporter of DeSantis' decision.
When you start talking about Florida and start talking about history and Black history and all, it is not the focus on queerness. The focus is on people who have persevered, done worked hard through oppression, have survived through oppression, have had faith as an anchor, and that's not captured.
What would be bad about them learning about queer studies or feminism or all these things that are also a part of the Black experience?
I'm not here to argue or get in a debate with you and nobody else about the studies, queer, feminism, all like that. But does Florida retain the right to reject College Board? Hell yeah.
What people are talking about, right, is obviously this political context about Ron DeSantis. He's really on a warpath to try to decide what's taught in schools, especially when it comes to racism.
His body of work with respect to diversity, equity, inclusion, and those other areas you've named speaks for itself. Mm-hmm. Ain't nothing to beat up on a dead horse. Hell, he got a problem with things of color. That's just clear. Why are we talking about that?
In February, after heavy criticism from Florida conservatives, the College Board released a watered-down version of the AP African American Studies course.
Y'all ready? Let's go!
A few weeks later, hundreds of people marched to the state capitol, demanding that DeSantis roll back his decision.
Stand up, fight back! We're out here because our history matters, and our children need to know our history.
If you want to learn about your history, you can't learn about your history. And you can't ask the right questions if you aren't educated on anything.
While the class is still under review in Florida, state education officials in Arkansas, Virginia, North Dakota, and Mississippi said they will also review the new course. What message are you hoping to send to the governor and really to the country?
I'm hoping, firstly, to get the class back. And secondly, to just show that, you can, fight back. I'm going to get the work done and see what happens.
I'm Michael Learmonth, editor-in-chief of Vice News. Too often, traditional news outlets shy away from the real stories and experiences of those living through global conflicts. Not Vice News. Our reporters are on the ground, fearlessly covering the human stories that shape our world. You and millions of others can continue to read, watch, and listen to Vice News for free. But we hope you'll consider making a one-time or ongoing contribution of any size at vice.com/contribute. Every contribution, no matter how big or small, helps support the journalism Vice News brings to you every day. Thank you.